two auctions. I mean, you must have, with the auction on the right, you must still have a 6-card spade suit, right? Why would you be so insistent on spades if you didn't have 6 and if 3-no might be a better spot, right?
Right, but you can't go to Roman key card.
Okay, so does anybody have any thought? And we may have mentioned this very briefly, but I don't recall if we talked about it at any length. I don't think we did. Does anybody have any thoughts about how Responder's hand on the auction on the right would differ slightly? This is normally played as a light slam try. In other words, 4 spades on that second auction is not a pure closeout. If opener is interested in slam, opener's allowed to make a move here. This basically says, partner, I have a little bit of slam interest, but it's probably going to depend, A, on how much you like my spades. Are you over there with a small doubleton, or do you have 3 of the ace, kind of thing, right? So how much do you like my spades, and where are you in your no trump range? You're basically saying, if you like my spades, and you're on 16 or 17 rather than 15, we should probably be looking for a slam. So Responder is not strong enough to just take control of the auction and start pushing toward a slam, but is saying, hey, with some cooperation, this is something we should be looking into. So Responder's hand might be more like, rather than the 10 count you have on this hand, might be like a good sort of 14, maybe even 13, 13 with a singleton or a void, a little shape to it, something like that. Where the main thing you want to know is, how much does opener like your suit?
I mean, once you're at 4 spades, then you're talking double points too. You're not talking binary. Let's have your points here.
Yeah, I mean, so, and that comes into play, like I said, a lot of times, you transfer and pass, and you've already accounted for dummy points because of the known fit. So that's why it's, even if you actually only have 7 or 8 high card points with a singleton and a known fit, you can take a shot at 4.
Well, the singleton
Right.
and the 6-card spades.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one or the other,
Points.
yeah.
Okay, so
It gets to be a little tricky to know, like you don't know exactly how good your shortness is, because you don't know how much opener has wasted in hearts. So here opener has a pretty good heart holding, because the ace covers your one loser, and then there's not much wastage after that, right? Just the jack. So was there? Oh.
okay, so then the no trump opener would be the one to go to Blackwood?
They could, or they could cube it. But yeah, if they like it, they might just ask for key cards. So it's one of those few instances where normally we don't see a no trump opener being the one to go to key card, because that is the hand that is limited.
Right.
And we will talk extensively about this idea of captaincy in language of bridge. And so often when there's a no trump opening, it's the partner of the no trump bidder who is the captain of the auction. But in this case, so like here, Responder purely captain, and they force it to 4 spades, and then they pass and say, yeah, we want to play it there. So here, you kind of start off as the captain, and you've insisted on at least 4 spades, but to just a little degree, you have kicked captaincy back to the opener and said, okay, we definitely belong in 4, we might belong in 6, but now that depends on things about your hand that I don't know yet. So you can, in that case, kick it back to the opening bidder. And yeah.
Can I ask a different question totally off the topic? In that hand that's doing the in the short trump hand, you have nowhere to trump. And you usually like to use your trump in the short hand, not the hand with the long trump. So trump ability being at 0 in that hand, doesn't that kind of have a negative effect on the whole thing?
Usually, so it's not. We say that we do most of our roughing in the shorthand because the shorthand is usually dummy, not declare.
Yes.
No trump options are an exception because of transfers and statement, transfers in particular. Whenever we get a transfer, in that case, dummy is actually going to have longer trumps typically than the opening bidder, right? Because our systems have created that. That's unusual. If we're not having a transfer auction, we don't usually see that. Usually it's dummy that has, you know, so it's probably a better way to think about it. A better way to think about it is are we going to do roughing and dummy? And dummy is often in the shorthand, but those are not always one and the same. Obviously, you're not doing any roughing in this hand because it's completely flat. On the other hand, on a Texas auction, you can expect a dummy that is probably at least somewhat distributional, right? So, but here you don't even, I mean, yes, you would rough if the opponents made you rough, but you really don't even necessarily need to. Probably what you're gonna do is knock out the ace of trump and the ace of clubs, and then take a diamond finesse see if the queen's on side for a possible over trick. Is most likely what's gonna happen, right? So.